The peaceful atmosphere of the suburban store is abruptly disturbed as Karen, in her red office suit, storms up to the customer service counter. She's visibly upset, her face flushed with anger as she stands there, arms crossed tightly. The store, once quiet, now feels charged with her frustration. The background is full of calm shoppers browsing the aisles, completely unaware that the storm is about to break. But Karen, with her posture rigid and her face set in a hard, angry line, is already confronting the store manager over what she believes is an injustice. "You've got to be kidding me," she shouts, her voice rising in volume. "I've been waiting for 20 minutes and now you tell me this? This is unacceptable." She gestures dramatically toward the product on the counter, as if pointing out her wronged position in this world. The manager, a middle-aged man in a plain uniform, looks unbothered and remains calm. He listens to her words, absorbing the complaints with professionalism. But his patience is wearing thin. "I understand you're upset, ma'am," he begins, his voice low and even, "but I'm afraid there's not much I can do right now. It's store policy. We don't offer refunds after this point in the process." He tries to explain, but Karen isn't having it. She cuts him off, her voice now a sharp, demanding sound. "No. I don't care about your policies," she retorts. "This is about customer service. You've ruined my entire day. I expect better." Karen's frustration is palpable, as her hands flail and gesture wildly, emphasizing her growing anger. The other customers are starting to notice, their curiosity piqued, with some beginning to glance over at the confrontation from across the aisles. Her anger grows as she takes another step toward the counter, her finger pointing accusingly at the manager. "You're just going to stand there and tell me I'm wrong, aren't you? Well, I won't accept that. This is not how you treat a customer." The store manager maintains his composure, but the tension between them is rising rapidly. He looks down at the counter, his face slightly tight with frustration, but he continues to speak in an effort to defuse the situation. "Ma'am, I understand your frustration," he says calmly, trying to maintain control. "But I cannot override the store policies." His voice is steady, but Karen's anger only intensifies. She is used to getting her way, and this time, she's not backing down. Without warning, Karen pulls out her phone and dials for backup. "I'm calling the higher-ups. This is unacceptable. I want to speak to someone in charge now." She speaks into the phone with authority, her tone one of indignation, as if the entire world should bend to her will. The manager, Karen, is no longer in control of the situation. The sound of the siren outside signals the arrival of the police, and Karen stands, still as angry as ever, her face twisted with disbelief. The officers step into the store, their uniforms clearly marking their authority. Karen, standing in her red office suit, confronts them immediately. "Thank God you're here," she exclaims, but her words are filled with impatience. She gestures toward the manager, who stands calmly at the counter, observing the situation from a distance. "They refuse to help me," she says, her voice sharp with frustration. "This store is completely out of control. They've mistreated me and ruined my entire day." She glares at the officers, hoping they'll be the ones to take her side, to show that she's in the right. But the officers, who have seen this kind of situation before, remain neutral, their faces expressionless. One officer steps forward. "Ma'am," he begins, his voice calm but firm, "I'm afraid there's nothing we can do here. This is a civil matter. We don't get involved in store policies unless there's been a violation of the law." He takes a step toward her, trying to make her understand, but Karen is not listening. She steps closer to him, her voice rising again. "No, no, no. You don't understand," she shouts, flailing her arms. "I've been wronged. I've spent so much money here, and this is how they treat me." Her anger is boiling over. The officer's calm demeanor contrasts sharply with her hysteria, but the officer remains unfazed. "Please step back, ma'am. Let's keep things calm here." But Karen is relentless. She refuses to let go of her position, her arms still gesturing wildly as she argues with the officer. "This is outrageous," she yells. "You're not even listening to me. This is exactly why no one trusts the system. You're here to protect them, not me. What kind of justice is this?" The officers exchange glances, realizing the situation is now spiraling out of control. Karen steps forward, her body language demanding attention. "I want the manager arrested. He is a thief, a liar," she accuses. Her voice echoes through the store, drawing even more attention from the customers. The officers exchange another brief look, their expressions now serious. The crowd has grown larger, and the tension in the air is thick. The officer moves slightly closer, placing a hand gently on Karen's shoulder, trying to de-escalate the situation. But Karen reacts instantly, shrugging him off and stepping back. "Don't touch me. How dare you," she shouts, her face contorted in anger. The officer remains calm, but Karen's outburst has now caught the attention of even more people in the store. At this point, the situation has completely spiraled beyond repair. Karen's anger is now fully unleashed, and the officers realize that they must take control. "Ma'am," one of the officers says, his voice firm yet calm, "you're being asked to step outside. If you continue to escalate this situation, you will be arrested." Karen glares at him, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Arrest me? For what?" she demands, her voice a mix of anger and confusion. "This is insane. You're taking their side?" She can't believe what she's hearing, her mind racing, struggling to grasp that she's not going to get her way. The officer steps closer, signaling to his partner, who moves to the other side. "You're disturbing the peace, ma'am. We need you to step outside," he says. Karen, however, steps back, shaking her head, refusing to comply. "I'm not going anywhere," she snaps, her fists clenched tightly. The officer, showing remarkable patience, speaks again. "Ma'am, we're asking you one last time. If you don't step outside, you will be arrested for disorderly conduct." The words hit Karen like a slap. The reality of the situation starts to set in, but her pride refuses to allow her to back down. "You can't do this. You can't just arrest me for speaking my mind," she yells, her face red with fury. The officer, maintaining his composure, reaches for his handcuffs. "This is your final warning," he says, his voice unwavering. Karen struggles as the officer gently places the cuffs on her wrists. She yells and thrashes about, but her resistance only intensifies the situation. The officer maintains control, his grip firm yet professional, ensuring that she doesn't escalate the situation further. Her shouts grow louder as she's escorted out of the store, and the crowd watches in stunned silence. The store is now quiet. The tension that once filled the air has vanished, leaving behind an awkward stillness. Karen is escorted to the police car, her face still twisted with anger. The officer walks beside her, calm and collected. The flashing lights of the police car illuminate the store's windows, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The camera pans over the now empty store, with the customers slowly leaving, some shaking their heads, others murmuring in disbelief. The store manager watches silently as the officers drive away with Karen in the back seat. As the police car disappears